Okay, so welcome to your second last week. There will still be another lesson, obviously, next weekend that I'll load up probably before that, as I think I've mentioned just across all the classes of mine. I'm leaving, going away overseas next week, Friday. So it's not that, yeah, I don't, you won't be able to contact me. I will mark your assignment still while I'm overseas, but yeah, if there's any questions, it would obviously make sense for you to chat to me next week before I leave. Okay. Anyway, let's just get to the lesson and let's not waste any time. So lesson 28 and 27 are put into one, so we can do one obviously one recording. It's not going to take too long, but we will do as we want. Okay, so I'm just going to take this out. Uh, and that's not supposed to be there. Okay, please ignore that. Should you be getting it from Cole Campus? All right. Okay. So we left off with show prep and we discussed it to many different lengths and angles and perspectives, and there were a couple of methodologies in there. Really understanding again the construct of approaching a show itself and being able to balance excuse me, every kind of aspect. So once again, I'm repeat about the whole fundamentals of what it is that makes up a show, and you have a finite list of, let's say, about 9 or 10 things that could possibly be in a show, from, let's say, like a competition to an admin link, a teaser, a content call out, a standalone link, an interview, like a parody, a feature, that type of stuff, right? But the way that you construct your links itself can be holistic and great and rich, right? So, as I mentioned before, like being able to definitely, please do not prep a show with only having looked at one a particular article or one particular like thought piece. You must go and look and research a little bit more to obviously gain the knowledge, one, two, the perspective, and three, obviously allow your listener to have a lot more information in a world that is, again, once again, they can go find a lot more information. You want to make this brand new, right? So by combining like a very creative approach to a particular piece, content piece in your show, is the way that you want to move forward. Remember, kind of combine those sound bites and then go into like something like go into your hook and go into the rest of your link, and maybe save some voxes for later, take a live caller, kind of combine this stuff too, and then end off with a completely, I say, like some different information that comes from that particular umbrella of that particular content piece or whatever it may be. Right? There's so many different ways that if I try to sit and explain it, it's just gonna keep boring you and bore me as well at the end of the day as well. Okay, so you can do obviously a great show because 50% of the work is done, right? So the prep is 50%, the other 50 is the execution. Both have to work together to get the show to be great, right? So you can prep but be boring, or you can not prep and sound very vibrant and like I say, magnetic, but you're going to sound very blank and dull because you're not going to have anything to say at the end of the day. Nothing that's going to anyway add extra value to why the listener has chosen to tune into a show. Anyway, so best personalities will compile a stack of material from information sources, right? And definitely your anecdote, so your personal story, aside from your opinion, which has to be in there to like spark opinion in others, right? Make sure that that opinion is strong and make sure that your delivery on that and your stance is strong, but also make sure that it is a non-biased, so an objective view, right? Nope. Not so, what do we say? Subjective, objective, subjective. Yeah, subjective view. Anyway, okay. So you want to be able to make sure that it is well-rounded. In other words, man, it's not going to kill me. I'm gonna have to Google it now to know the difference, which I do know. But anyway, sidebar. Okay, anyway, humor always contracts or contracts a listenership, also attracts anybody. I mean, funny is funny, right? But it's got to land. Creative talent is constantly doing show prep, tell you the truth, seize the moment, always carry a recording device, all the stuff from last lesson. Okay. Why is prep crucial? So a general would never go into battle without a plan. It's kind of a kind of I think I've done this with you before. I keep saying that because some of the stuff overlaps across first and second year, but let's make sure that we can just recap wherever it is and add some new information wherever it is needed. The difference between good and radio, a good radio and great radio is definitely the planning and the preparing, but being present and being able to make the most of a particular link and execution. So you got to be on point while you're doing your show. Show prep is the most important weapon that you do have against bear, like obviously like your listeners bearing you and you boring them, right? When we talk about humor, right, humor is always a great place to be, but everyone has similar senses of humor, but all of us also have particular senses of humor, right? So don't think that like I've said this before, when you do humor, you have to have a sense of humor because people will laugh with you when it's natural and it's not like again a comedic act, a stand-up routine, which we always pay for because we like that particular comedian. I've repeated this already, I've said this before, so I don't want to draw on about it, but I want to say that like don't be so serious. Taken from the Batman movies, hey, why so serious? Don't just look at the opportunities for you to have very healthy humor. So not something that's crass and like is definitely not called for. It's like you're being what you said that and you're laughing about it for this situation or at that person. So don't be someone that is just a mean person and thinks that being mean will arise a laugh or two just because you're laughing at somebody or a situation. If you're a cruel human being, people pick that up immediately the moment you let it shine. Nah, you can do show prep that improves your ability to be funny on air. So again, like it's not about preparing yourself to be funny, but if there is, so when I sit in a prep, I'll make sure that with my lighter content pieces, or let's say a feature that is light or is humorous, whatever it may be, I will now type out like what it is that my opinion is is mainly about, and I will make sure that when I'm trying to deliver that kind of punchline in a way, or I will make the points that are there so I can line it up correctly and not create a script per se, but I can keep that in mind. If you go to your prep and you actually, when you are doing the call out piece, or again, these like particular points of view that you don't want to forget when you go on air and you're in the moment, like put on your prep in pieces and then also let your body and mind and mouth flow with them, right? So again, where there is a lighter opportunity for, and I want to make a joke, I'm gonna make the joke whether it lands or not. Like we'll see, like at the execution on the time, right? But always prepare it to land. Just to get a smile even is good enough, right? You don't have to have them cackling like witches. You can learn to become a better storyteller at the end of the day. So, rules for powerful prep. Okay, so let's going with the moment. All right, there's a couple of points here we're going to go through. Going with the moment, understanding that when you have prepped, you have you're blessing yourself with opportunity to be spontaneous because you'll always have something to fall back on, which is the construction. And again, that when I said the construction is one thing, but putting things in a certain order to make to get to a point, right? Will have you not like floating around and like I don't know what it is when a fish is out of water, they're like kind of flipping and whatever it is. Um, that kind of feel, right? You don't want to be all over the place, and you allow yourself that power and confidence because you have the foundation to remain also like on point and making sense. So you'll be allowed to make you'll allow yourself the liberty of being spontaneous. Always ask why. Avoid slot filling. So always have a specific reason for wanting, let's say, a guest, right? Let's talk about some of the points here are going to be particular to a guest that you might have, but you must also think of this exactly as to why you're talking about a specific content piece, right? So is this guest now relevant to what is happening in your listener's lifestyle? So uh, I've given you the anecdote I think before of how as a producer, uh the producers of different stations, we would be friends. I'm saying to you, in my production role, and where there wasn't a particular guest that would fit the show or fit the station, you'd give it to a producer that you would know of another station, without obviously the boss's name, please. I don't know why they have that. Again, I've said this before. There's this weird type of unhealthy competitive nature where we are such a small industry as well. Yeah, that type of camaraderie around being able to have relationships with other like industry people, but out in the open, like getting out of the closet with it, then is a lot healthier. Anyway, it worked for me. It really worked for us. Small team of us would lend ourselves different guests, for example, or different content that people will send you mails for, and press junkets and say, like obviously tell you what they're busy promoting or whatever it may be, but it's not a fit for the station. It's a fit for whatever it may be, right? You need to ask the relevance of the context of the relevance to the station, the relevance to the listener's lifestyle, and again, is it the right person to be talking to at the end of the day? Make sure that you know why the guest is special and what their purpose is going to be. This is why we go through the pre-screening. Um, the pre-screening, there's the different steps, obviously, where we're going to talk to them beforehand, and we're going to see what they've got to say. Are they communicative? Do they have a nice personality? Someone that can talk and that is not. There's a lot of people in life that are not great communicators, regardless of how great they are at their profession. You mustn't put those people on air. Don't promise them a whole hour. Never. You always, anyway, when you're having a guest, and they link to a brand, as I've said, that is a very careful process. They have to actually pay for it to a certain extent, or you have to manipulate your way around the brand itself and any kind of like subliminal selling, right? So use the guests to everything in your show that you will add to. So again, the content, the sound bites, the guests, whatever it may be that you're going to put into your show must add value to the show itself. So it must make the show better instead of it being mediocre and people don't care about it, or make it worse. On a word, that's just out of the question. The best guests are people with personal experience and that have stories to tell. Remember that you can't just judge a person also by their personality. Like while you're doing pre-screening, like, and you're talking to these people, either it could be a listener that you're going to put on air, or it could be, like I say, a guest, whatever it may be. You would talk to them and make sure you would have to bring out that personality to see, ask the right questions to see whether there is a story, that they are great storytellers, and there is something, again, rich there. Warning to managers, feel comfortable seeing people out of work. No, that's not really a good thing to actually do. When I say this, so the only hard rule for powerful radio is be prepared and on time for your show. Uh, so what listeners respond to is the finished product. Our product is what comes out of speakers on the radio, and our preparation is real but often invisible. So, with respect to um, so this is not directed at managers. Directors must take note. Sorry, managers must take direct note of the fact that um, they the presenter must be allowed to network as well, which they don't mind. I mean, what do they care for? You're just not really allowed to be networking with another station, ideally, right? So you should be the one that goes out and does make more connections and does land them as sources of information, either now or in the future. You put in a lot of work, and you don't have to brag about it on air, please, because again, the when you go to a restaurant, the cook does not come out to your table and says to you, "Yeah, it took me like this is." Like I mean, I put honey on this. I let it roast. Like I was sweating. I mean, I had my nails bleed, which is impossible. But you understand the exaggeration, right? We don't do that. We just give them the output of our efforts. Be prepared. So again, this carrying the recording device, I think we kind of mentioned it before. I'm just going to go through it again. Is about carrying your phone. You understand? And again, in your in wherever you stay, like wherever, put a notepad in a couple of the rooms. I find that a notepad is very useful. If, for example, obviously in my room, like my bedroom, like in the living room, and in the kitchen, especially. Right? I don't know why in the kitchen. It's where I write them the most. Right? And like put a pencil or a pen, like stick it to some press stick, and put it next to it, so it almost stimulates you whenever you pass. You're like, oh, okay, it's somewhere even there. But the thing is, at the end of the day, when you are writing ideas and expressions or whatever it is, you can just plot it out there and leave it there for the moment till you come back, to, let's say, the moment you're actually prepping a show. You're gonna have a lot of ideas that go out of the scope of the season, even, and you might even say this will really work for when spring comes back. Put that down. Say who you intend to talk to. What, uh, let's say, I said added value media you would use. How would you do this? Like if it was digital, and the strategy for that, etc., etc. Make friends outside of the business. So as I was saying to you about networking, right? Know your target. We've done so. We've explained that it is very important for you to actually, like, talk to them, not on air. Like, know where your audience is hanging out. Go there. I've given the anecdote of just going there and just watching first and listening, but attentively listening and taking those notes of different conversations. Don't think about, well, how it's going to, like, benefit you on air. You're not there yet. Be in the present moment and then go like, cool, cool, cool. Like, let me just write everything. I might spark, and something will spark up when I get home and I revise this. Okay. Um, Take a test drive, discuss your ideas with somebody else. That is one. A listener, I'm saying quote unquote, like, could be a listener from their perspective. The second one is someone that is in, I'm saying, in this, like, in the same industry, right? So someone that is a creative, they would say, I don't really like that. I mean, I just produced this pilot episode. I think we're talking about this for so long, I've been doing it for so long. Oh my word. Right. Anyway, sidebar. Okay, it's not about me, Chris. It's about you. Right. Anyway, the point is that I put it. It's now out for the focus groups, right? And I got some harsh crit, but it was constructive harsh crit. In other words, I didn't like the length of this was placed incorrectly. It didn't make sense. It should be placed somewhere else. This particular interview, like, kind of, this interviewee was not really interesting. You understand? I don't know. The episode was far too long. It was far too short. There was too much stuff in it. There was too little stuff in it. Whatever it may be, right? So the thing is that as harsh as it comes back, like I'm saying to you, when you do get that, you must be ready for harsh crit to come back, and always tell them, please do not be nice to me for the sake of getting me off your back. Just tell me what you think, and let me move on. Okay, but also ask the questions. So also be confident in your product. That's the thing as well. So I must also say to these people that have been currently focusing on, be like, look, you said, for example, that this piece is out of nowhere, doesn't really make sense. Why? I said, but you didn't pay attention to them in the first segment, because the first segment contextualizes the second part of it and the third part of it. And they were like, oh, okay, you're right. So I was like, because I know, you must also know you're a professional, and to a largest extent, you know what you're doing, right? So find that also balance. Prep warning: do not do a show before the show. Don't rehearse it. Save your actual performance for when you get behind the mic, and pre-produce sound bites, music, etc. Like we said, on digital, like, put something out that's cool and that's awesome. Okay. So double check. So please, is it relevant? Does it matter? Do you care? Do your listeners care? And what will I do if it gets boring? Do I have a fallback plan? But most of all, is it factually correct. Okay. Do not go out there. Only one mistake like that will label you or put the scarlet letter on your cheat, ne? Because you didn't do your job and you decided to go all out just by chance on this particular matter that you found but didn't find like a fact checking process before that to see that it was maybe an opinion piece or it was false news or whatever it is or fake news, right? Be generous. So if you have found a topic that will work for someone else, as I say, pass it on, man. Experiment. So only when you have mastered, please, only when you have mastered all that you can, then push a little bit more beyond the boundary so that you make, if while you learn, you make small mistakes that won't break your product apart. Surfing the web is just a given, but there's so much on the net. And the thing is that you will be drawn to, which there's nothing wrong with. Like you'll be always drawn to the same blogs, the same news sites, the same social media. I'm saying handles, whoever it is that you're following or whatever it is that you're watching on YouTube, like channels, whatever that you subscribe to. Just note that if you are burning like 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 these sources like completely dry for content, it will start sounding extremely biased at one certain point because any media, I'm saying platform and sect, whatever, it officially takes a stance on its position in terms of bias, right? And that's not it's not something that they're hiding. You can again you please add that extension that will tell you when you are when you search for something on Google, like it will above, let's say, sorry, below the headline, let's say where you'll see the search results, it will say it is left left wingers, biased, opinionated, whatever it is, partly informative or factual or whatever it may be, right? So don't just use the Google Trends and Insights because a lot are like anything that you do find must be a idea sparker, so a content sparker, right? So the tale of a total show prepared. Okay, the tale of total show prep. However you research your content, it is important to put in the prep time. Now, so if the on-air personality is genuinely interested in the topic, so you have buy-in, it's going to work better, obviously, right? Because you're going to like completely give it all of you. You're interested in what you also went to go and look up, agree, right? And then you like the listener will have a reason to be immediately captivated, right? Um, there is no right way, just the way that works for you. So you're going to say to me, oh, but then I'm going to only find buying the stuff that I'm interested in. No, when you get radio, you'll understand that immediately you'll be interested in the stuff that you're interested in because your listener is interested in that too or first. So just remember that you don't fall into that little like spiral. Okay. Dig deep for talkable topics or engaging questions. Remember to look beyond page one for stories. Take notes from conversations that you've overheard. Try to come up with at least one story or observation from your own life for each show. Andy Beobin, so it's Bobin, oh, but it's definitely Bobin, right? Okay, Jeremy Miller's prep methods say that show prep is usually a team effort and not a task assignment to just one person, unless you are the only person on the show. Agree. So the reasoning is obviously the entire team must be part of the prep process because everyone then is on the same excuse me page. Do you understand? So that when you do go on air, whoever decides to contribute or is allowed to contribute has the right also mindset. They know where you're going with this as well, and they have also buy-in. So your show prep will then begin with review. Once you're done, like I say go print it out. This is for the final step, I would say, right? You would go. like I'm doing right now with prep in front of me for sure. Then I'm going to go and I'm going to use a yellow highlighter and make sure that I highlight just certain points, like 4 or 5 certain points out of the full articles that I put out. Then I would highlight the angles and I would make, let's say, pen notes around that. For me, it gives ownership for the now I've made this printed out copy mine. When where like because it's got now my fingerprint quote unquote on it, right? I will also have then gone through the prep properly. I'm saying to in its review stage, and that means when I go on air and I do the show, it's going to flow better because also it's like studying for an exam, right? All right. Anyway, the Snoop parts of it. Never mind about the review part. Like I'm saying to you, so we are talking. I'm talking in 2 parts here. So you need to listen to your own show. As much as you might hate it, don't actually listen to it. Maybe in the first month of you doing the show, don't listen to it because you're going to judge yourself really harshly. Even if you think it sounded great and you did well, it's cool. It's going to sound a lot better in a month's time, right? But from then onwards, you have to be your own Snoop checker. In other words, your own manager, where your manager will only book time with you probably once a month to check in on your show and do a Snoop session that you will not be prepared for. They will just randomly pick certain parts of your show and invite you in for a bit of a chat or something that's going to be very harsh. And then you'll work from there. Updates. The producer updates the team on new material that has arrived, especially in the morning show, the breakfast show, where that is an everyday thing. So, like, once again, the team will meet immediately after 9 or it's 9 o'clock. I think Y is still 10. I'm not too sure. I know it was ankle tap, it was till 10, right? No, it was five. Started 5. No, it ended at 9. It was 4 hours long, but started 5. Anyway, doesn't matter. The point is that I know they had a 4 hour show. The thing is, after the end of that, the team must now meet. Okay, evaluate the show that just happened. The manager will also tend to want to be in that meeting as well because again, a lot of the revenue comes from the breakfast and drive shows as it is. And so that again, so it needs to be quite on point and also in line with business strategies, right? And you will review it. And as I said, the producer will wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning and will go and see what has just broken overnight. So basically, from day to day, 24 hour to 24 hour in a way, right? 20, I would say, now I'm being finicky, 24 hour, 20, let's say about 20 hours have passed. 18 or 19, whatever it may be, and then the producer will be up now. But the thing is that the world has changed in those 19 to 20 hours, right? And they will have to update and get if there is someone to speak to, they need to get that immediately, right? All right, okay. Anyway, sources. Some teams hire again. So there are companies that will do pre-prep for you. They'll prep the show for you. They won't prep the show. They will send you prep, right? You will pay for it. And it is like that's not a good idea. I think I've mentioned it before. I think you know why it's not a great idea as a radio practitioner. This is the lowest you can go, man. Um, Anyway, you might as well sell, I don't know, tuck to your coworkers, just saying that it is like it's a cardinal sin. Why would you have someone else outside, even the station, right? Prepare ideas for you. You'll never grow. Let me not carry on. Now I'm sounding like a mother. Anyway, topics. Okay, decide on a list of topics for the day's program. Assign priority. So the ones that have to be done versus the stuff that could be left out that are not time stamped. If let's say you run out of time, if the songs are too long, if the competitions are too much, like you understand, you might run out of time and you would have to then reschedule that for another show. All right. Production. So the pre-production material, as I said, if you're going to have vox pops, right? Also, if you are going to obviously, let's say like an interview, let's say you have gone somewhere like an event or something that needs to be produced, like obviously reproduced in a way that you're going to go and do a number of different atmospheric and one-on-one interviews or whatever it is. They'll send it to the producer, all the material. They will obviously cut it down, make it into something useful, maybe something we can repost and reshare and recycle on social media, etc. Schedule the program elements on paper. Right, there we go. That's okay. I mean, I'm not. I mean, I sound like I've been doing this for years. Like that shouldn't surprise me that it's there, but it does surprise me. Just because like the kids in general always grab their phone. Now you see it, so then you must not. Okay, all right. Anyway, so let's talk about archives. A file of previous daily program schedules, copies of scripts and program ideas, background material by subjects, and audio files. So, like you should. So when we talk about archives, it's not about saving the content now that it's been done. It's about, let's say, it's about creating an archive of stuff that you could use, a database of people that could be useful in the future, and also give those fields in there of like how great were they, like in what sense were they great. This is their speciality. These are the particular, like in situations like X, Y, and Z, you could use them, etc., right? And you would then obviously be very I say clinical about the process, make sure that it's clean and make sure that it's ordered and that you can find stuff and date stuff, please, as well. So especially when it comes to audio files, like date in terms of the label, have a labeling format, right? It should start the date. You'll explain what, like, what the clip is. I'm saying in the labeling, and then move on from there. Do you understand? So that I could go find it and use it. Should I not have to go and pick, just have to play like 70 or 80 different audio clips just to understand what's in there as well. The same goes for voice note sidebar as well. If you do pre-prep them, maybe like you've gotten voice notes sent to you already from the earlier in the morning, because maybe you promoted the let's say the piece on social media, and you've given out the number. Things obviously like things in terms of content, like has been sent through. You would want to save that and not play it like off the WhatsApp line if possible. Ideally, you would like to maybe just download that particular audio file and have control of it. In situations, the WhatsApp line normally works because it works fine, but it's you're gonna, if you're a big show with big station and a lot of listeners, like you're gonna get a ton of WhatsApps. You understand that the producer's gonna always finds now. This is the real big problem with voice notes, is that what you hear is the best attempt by that producer to have gone through as many as they could. I'm saying that was sent through in 2 or 3 songs' time, to allow the presenter to go back and then play these particular ones. But you can't have, let's say, now you must imagine now the presenter can't be like scrolling through, like, let's say, WhatsApp message number 3 to 63 to 73. Like that's impractical. It's going to sound terrible, whatever. You're going to anyway still have to like organize it, download that thing, put it through, and then make that accessible to the presenter, just to make sure that things go, that the show runs smoothly. Be selective. So it's great to obviously have your 10 fabulous ideas, but even if it kills you, reduce it down to 4. Okay. Because there's better ideas. There's always better ideas than others. Okay, at the end of the day. Ask yourself, particularly when you're picking a topic that revolves around health, heart, or pocketbook, right? So money, honey, like, and what you feel, like it's pulling at your heartstrings, like it's emotional, it is emotionally derived. Health, and not just like health and fitness. We're talking about mental health. We're talking about like your psychological health, whatever it may be, right? Howard Price uses the following criteria for topic selection. So, what's in it for me, the listener? Every day, ask questions, right? So again, have the vision and vigilance to spot trends, take risks, and exploit opportunities. So again, just to, I think like for example, let's just, I don't want you to get confused because of the way that this is maybe presented to you. I'm saying written out there. So the presenter will now will start again from the listener's perspective. What will they gain from it? What will I do just in general, right? Okay. I'm saying with any content piece, you'll ask what's in it for me, from a listener. Every day, you must ask various questions about what is happening, what you see, what you talk about with other people, etc., etc., to spark knowledge. Do you understand? Again, that proactivity to one, not only be researching and always be on, I'm saying to you in terms of being like a professional and knowing that there's content everywhere, but then to be like, this piece right here, I'm going to take right now. I know how to work it. I know also how to work it to be kind of like sensationalistic, so that it's a bit captivating and a bit erotic in nature. I'm saying to you, erotic as in, oh, it's sexy. Will people expect us to cover this, right? So if they expect it, that's a good thing as well, because they're saying, listen, I mean, if it's about inflation, like I want to hear more about it from the professionals. In other words, you are the information provider, the conduit of information, and you will provide them with more understanding in terms of their context and their relevance in their lives. People care about things that are close to them physically, emotionally, spiritually, or intellectually. Use radio's complete advantage of being immediate, right? It's right now, right now. So play on that. That's what makes us strong as a medium, and it makes us strong against the other mediums that cannot match us with that. Not again, even in digital, like you cannot have immediacy just because people are not constantly scrolling across an algorithm that pops up news for you, which is then dated or immediate, right? So the probability of getting that type of immediacy can be compared to radio is unlikely, right? Use the news, have a friend who has a friend who has a friend. They can ask, like, will this person be able to chat to me? I know that they're doing this business. I know that they are currently trending, whatever it is. Get a life. In other words, do not stay at home. Like, just force yourself now and again, literally to go out. Okay, just go out and go to somewhere where there's other people and that stimulates you as a human being, whether it be like a little bit of a festival or just like a club, or whether it be just go out and eat, go window shop, you understand, go take a walk in the park, or take a run in the park at like a 2 for 1 special, like a little bit of health. Um, and obviously you just being aware of something different to even refresh your creativity and its point of view, right? People want more than just facts. Agree? All right. So for a dull day, so when there is content, when there are going to be days and weeks, even sometimes, where all the news is content heavy on one subject. Obviously the biggest thing is like an election period, right? Then everyone is talking about that. Everyone's doing the spin-offs of that. Everyone's talking to like people in the streets about it. They're going to then start bringing in businesses. They're going to be affected by that are openly supporting this, or they're sponsoring this party or whatever it may be. But everything's going to be about the damn elections, right? Expect that hashtag coming up, coming soon, 2024, right? So you want to be able to balance, talk about obviously the relevance of and put the elections into your show because everyone is being impacted by it, but also have that database of ideas that talk about other aspects of a person's life, because the elections do not define your entire day at any one point in your life, and your entire human experience or humane experience, right? Never, ever. There are a lot of other things that are happening in our lives, right? Even when quote unquote nothing is happening at all, like on a dull day. Big ears and big eyes, man. So one, friends and family missed that out. Sometimes you may overhear usable material, bring an idea to work, so create powerful brainstorming sessions with people who are invested in your show. I know that sounds like the managers, sometimes they will help you out, but they do hire you because you know what you are doing. Okay, Michael Haas and his brainstorming rules. Let's look at some of them. During the brainstorm, there must be no judgment. So, if you are choosing to do a brainstorming session, there's no hierarchy, which says at the bottom there, there's like if you're going to sit down with your boss must now be aware that this is a free for all. Anyone can say whatever they want because brainstorming is about just what whatever comes to mind. You want to put down on paper. You want to, and then you can work out like the refinement of it. Freewheeling is allowed and encouraged. So bad ideas, good ideas, middle ideas, any ideas come to the paper, right? And from those ideas, don't leave them at that. Then brainstorm even further out, like you say, in the little bubbles, in the bubbles, in the bubbles that further, and you spark out more little handles. I'm saying, so I don't know what those things are called, but there's a circle, and you're going to do all the little lines around it. I'm just going to call them the handles. Like a brainstorm, it's out to the point where it becomes exhausted, right? Combine ideas. So that's the whole thing about creating a fresh idea is being able to see two points of view, two sources of information, two angles. And by when I say two or more, even, right, if necessary. Every idea must be written down, right? Because you're going to forget, right? When you're in the moment, like you're in the moment. So please remember that. More rules, right? Scott Shannon's list for creating powerful radio. So carry a recording device. Again, this is literally what we said in the beginning of the lesson. So I'm just going to just go through them quickly, read everything, watch everything. You can see that obviously this is coming into your formatives that you've seen before. Learn your computer or the equipment, so be technically savvy. Onto your phone, like and talk to the listener. So, in other words, when I'm saying in studio, right? So, hang out with normal people, seize the moment. When you see something happening, go for it. I'm saying to you, like, there's this person, famous person. Let me go. Like they're in the shopping center. Let me head on over. Let me just approach them respectfully, saying, that I'm from this station, this station. I'd like to, can I have organize a chat with you at some point? Obviously, maybe not right now. Or can I take a picture of you and maybe you can just quickly give us like, like a remix of your favorite saying that everyone's trending on, whatever it is. I don't know. Great talk. And always remember preparation, concentration, and moderation. Just go to just the key points are ended there. I'm not going, it's literally a repeat. I'm so sorry. I just want to delete that there. Okay. And here is the end of the lesson or the two lessons. Okay. So you must prep an entire hour of a show with the following as time stamped and the content callouts, interviews or standalone being fully accounted for. In other words, a full prep of that hour. Okay. Um, so news, sports, traffic. I like that. That's not fancy. Sorry, traffic. Weather, financial indicators, content links, 5 links, 2 can be teasers. Prepare this for yourself, and then please, ideally, you should send it to me or you should attend class, and I can give you feedback on that. I'm going to stop that share. I'm going to end it right now, and I will see you on the other side.